Our spirit is in the breath. We call the spirit in root language Ande. And when you breathe, we call it Andas. So each time I breathe, the spirit comes in and out. And when I take my last breath, when I die, my spirit goes out into the air and goes back also to the holy. But the spirit and the soul are a little bit different. There's a very big story about all this. The people in the paradise time, we lived completely different than we live today. And every 50 years was one heir of Ra, one era, one peri-ud, period, peri. So every 50 years, this Ra and Maya, they become old. And now the new Ra and Maya at the top. And every 50 years, this Bach, he becomes the pair, the old father with the gray hair. And we had one system before where the people of the planet were creating beautiful and beautiful handicrafts, all made from gold. The fire is in the sun, the fire is in the gold, the fire is in the fire, and the fire is in the gold, and the fire is in the sperm. And gold was all over the planet. We didn't have to make holes in the ground. We didn't have to rip our mother to pieces for the gold. It was everywhere. But it had no value. In these days, our value, the money, was how rich you were inside, not how rich you were on the outside. It was inside, something called Raha. How much Ra did you have? Different than today. But this gold, every ringland on the planet, every 50 years, the most beautiful handicraft made by those Jarl people, Gar people, Trail people, from each of these rings, over 2,000, were sent one piece of art up to one castle we call Rase Puri. I have some pictures of Rase Puri with me, what's left of it. And Rase Puri, Rase is where the race comes from, and Puri means castle. They also call it Rasaburi. It's one castle about 80 kilometers to the west of Helsinki, Finland. It's still there today. The Catholics pretty well smashed it to pieces in 1050, but there's still some of it left. And there was the house of Ra and Maya, the king and queen. And this place is a place called Tuna. If today you go to this castle, you go and you ask somebody where Tuna is, or Snapper Tuna. And they had one giving system where the people were sending from these ringlands one beautiful handicraft made from gold. And they were sending it up for Tuna, for fortune. And Tuna means two, and Na means knowledge, the knowledge of two, the king and the queen, the Tuna. So Fortuna. And this system was called Ye Hov Ah. Ye means to give, yea, yo, yea, yes. Hov comes from the word huv, and inside the court of the castle is one hov. The clown, he's called the Hofnar. And the sound ah mean the Asur people who lived in this hove. So you could give to the court of the Asur in one system called Yehovah. Today it's called Jehovah. But Yehovah is one giving system. Where this over 2,000 pieces of beautiful handicraft were sent up to this Ra and to this Maya, and they're put in this castle. And these pieces are called, in English we call them aesthetics. They call it esthétique. And S has to do with the sun, Ta has to do with take, and Teak has to do with time, esthétique, like antique. So esthétique is something that's so beautiful that you think no one will ever destroy it. It's made from gold. And every 50 years, they have to take all this beautiful handicraft and go put it somewhere. Because this castle now is going to be taken over by the new Ra and Maya. And the old Ra and Maya become the old king and the old queen. The retired king and the retired queen. 30 kilometers to the east of Helsinki, they start to go down in one hole in the ground. And they started to make one storehouse for these Jehovah systems to go. In 1987, Eeyore, a few of us went to hell, and he told us about this storeroom in one temple that's down in the ground. And on the 19th of July, 1987, I put the first shovel in. And we started one excavation of one temple from before Icetown. One temple, more than 50 million years old, made by human beings. And this whole, when this planet exploded, and this magma exploded out, at the very top of the planet, one phenomenon happened. One gas ball lifted to the very top of this planet while it was still hot and wet. And it created one room at the very North Pole. And this hot bubble went up, it stopped, and now part of this bubble made one small little ball at the very top, just a few meters down from the very top of this planet, in the granite. It looked like one Santa Claus hat. One hat from Père Noël. It's one hat with this, and this little ball on top. And underneath this stone at the very top, these people started to go down and they started to dig out this cavern. And this hole is 250 kilometers across. It's the same size as Udenma. It's one hollow core at the very top of the planet. They start to dig out along the wall. They start to make one pathway. And they cover this whole place in gold. And they start to dig each Jehovah system. They build 3 rooms. They dig into this wall and they build 2 storerooms and 1 showroom. 2 rooms, they could put 1,000 pieces of art, and 1 showroom where you could take 1 piece out and now look. We dug 5 years trying to get inside this temple. The government finally stopped us in 1990. But it's still there today. We just haven't gotten inside. And standing, when we go inside, in front of the first door will be a solid gold statue, life size, of the first man on this planet, Frey. And he'll be standing there with his big golden heart. And the next door will be his 12th son, what man looked like the next generation, and this with his big golden heart. And the 12th son, and the 12th son, and the 12th son. And there's more rooms, more than 1 million rooms, all full of incredible art that people were making in a time we don't even know we existed, from the paradise time. It's still there today. It's not time for it to open. The saga has to come first. Reincarnation. Reincarnation. If I understand, maybe I should give one little story about the soul.